Assalamualaikum badingoluk ngal kontong mobe dawda ani be watu to Banten rokola now bismillah the program moving kasu jang lokung ningi yan temben sita jamano al barimalo Mustapha Jammeh membe si radio to tembeng Continue in the new feature Skype or Radio and TV services by Studios West Yorkshire East and Tansil Mount and accent Arid Mustapha Jammeh Nekal and feature Rajabi right Skype our Radio and TV services Studios West Yorkshire frequency modulation signal streaming from Tansil Mount. Your weekly program Jamano is back on air at the minute. Mustapha Jammeh at the seat. Yo, coming Delta Kakenyaming on our weekly Jamano weekly civic education program. Today we've got a big guest with us here, Mr. Joof. Mr. Joof is the chairman of the National Human Rights in the Gambia Commission. So first of all, what we'll do, and you can say greetings, ladies first, and then we'll come to you, Suleiman.
Suleiman, we give our guests.
Okay.
Chairman.
So welcome. Okay, Mr. Joof, Mr. Chairman Joof, we will start with you. We would like to first of all thank you for taking the time to come and honor this invitation to come and join us with this very civic education program, which we thought to be of very importance to the people back home in the Gambia. Civic education, I like to think, is key to national development, is key, and it's got a lot to do with human rights. So, Mr. Joof, first of all, for the first time, I would like to welcome you on Sky Power. You can introduce yourself and then greetings to our listeners and audience at the minute. Mr. Joof, welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Sky Power, for inviting me to be on this platform. It is really a pleasure. My name is Emmanuel Joof, the current chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission of the Gambia. And I think it is fitting. When you invited me, I really did not hesitate. I told you that I was doing many other things, but this is so important because one of the things that we were mandated to do is to raise the awareness of the population, raise the awareness to promote and protect human rights. And well, okay, maybe I should stop that for as introduction before I start. I take off. Why the Dylan Graham Center?
I can see the energy. Today is going to be interactive.
Dylan wax jërëjëf ci li ngeen ma invite pour ma ñëw waxtaana yéen daal mbiri ahi ak yelleefi doomu aadama parce que lii lu am maanaa la ak luñ wala fulal la loolu tax National Human Rights Commission ñu saxal ko ci dëkk bi te ñun ñëpp ñoo moom National Human Rights Commission so waaye kontaan naa trop kontaan naa li ngeen ma invite jërë leen jëf man nag ni ma ko waxee maa ngi tudd Emmanuel Joof suma profession nag lawyer la with a human rights background yaha ak yele fi doom adama laa doon liggéey naa ko Gambia liggéey naa ko ci biti with UNDP Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in East Africa, South Sudan, Sudan. So in a nutshell daal loolu laa def waaye mus naa nekk itam magistrate si dëkk bi. I was a magistrate one upon a time in Gambia. maa ngi leen di nuyu bu baax seen tur seen sant.
Thank you very much. Much obliged. Day.
Well, man tam di nuyu Chairman Joof and di ko wax jërëjëf ci time bi mu jël pour ñëw join ñu fii time bi nekkee ni sax service of the Human Rights Commission fu mu nekk ni is highly needed at this moment because nit ñi amuñ dara lu ñuy protect suñ rights yi and Human Rights Center bi tamit dafa nekkoon ñun tam luñ daan xajaane daal as Gambians ne Human Rights Commission bi mu ngi Gambia fa la base suñ ne Banjul Human Rights Commission bi and jërëjëf si time bi tu ñëw pour discuss ñun gën a xelal nit ñi daal gën a xamal nit ñi lanay seen yelleef ak luñ war a def di def déglukat yi tamit maa ngi leen a nuyu tamit di leen santa si waxtu bu nekk ñu dee déglu and then also di isi seen comments yi tamit and Suleiman tamit mbokki panelist di nuyu Suleiman ak Bamba mu fi nekk and Mustapha di la wax jërëjëf yow tam time bi nga jël organize li coordinate du dee easy moom loolu xam nañ ko waaye jërëjëf di nuyu ñëpp nag jërëjëf
jërëjëf Sol
jërëjëf Ajaratu Ndey maa ngi nuyu Mr. Joof di ko gërëm di ko sant si teewaay bi teew tey bàyyi soxlaam yi ak itteem yëpp ñëw waxtaan ak ñun li am solo la because position bi mu am position bu rëy la so nga war a bàyyi sa liggéey sa soxla yi sa personal soxla yëpp ñëw toog di waxtaan ak ñun firndel na ne fonka nga sa liggéey fonka nga sa réew te yëg nga sa doomi réew ñu ngi la delloo njukkal ci loolu comme ni Ajaratu wax rek Mustapha moom kenn du ko gërëm because lii loolu la mooy nokkee loolu la mooy dundee so ñuy ñaan rek wér ak wérle fan bu gudd ak mujj gu rafet yéen it min ñooy seetaan di ñu déglu ñu ngi leen a gërëm di leen sant si time bi ngeen dee jël ñëw déglu ñu nekku ni ñoo leen gën a xam o ñoo leen ëppa xam-xam o ñoo leen ëppa yëg-yëg waaye dafa mel ni rek ku nekk da nga am waxtu boo xam ne da ngay toog jox ko sa réew jox ko sa doomi réew so loolu la ñoo def yéen it loolu ngeen a def toog di ñu déglu di ñu seetaan jërë ngeen jëf
jërëjëf Sol thank you very much Mr. Emmanuel Honorable I'll give you that title today Honorable Emmanuel Joof once again thank you very much for honoring this invitation it means a lot to us. And in the first place, if I may start, this is going to be a discussion between me, you, and they, and the Gambians, and the how do you call it, and the audience as well. Let's make it as interactive as possible. You can interject, you can contribute anytime, anywhere, anyhow. So on that note, Mr. Joof, I would like to ask you, me, myself, how would you define national human rights for me in the Gambia? What does your office do?
Okay, the National Human Rights Commission of the Gambia, the National Human Rights Commission, which I am chairperson, was established by an act of the National Assembly in 2017, and it became operational in 2019 with 5 commissioners. The 5 commissioners were selected. The selection process was an elaborate process, but it started with civil society shortlisting 5 of the many applicants. So they shortlisted 9, gave those 9 names to the National Assembly. The National Assembly, the names were gazetted, and the National Assembly selected 5. So it was those 5 names, then they had to meet a certain criteria that were actually sent to His Excellency for approval. So the process was actually led by 6 umbrella civil society group that sat and actually shortlisted the candidates. And that was, just quickly to tell you, one was the Gambia Bar Association, Female Lawyers Association, Gambia Press Union, the Federation for the Disabled, the Gambia Youth Council, and Tango. So these were representative of these groups that sat and went through those names, and those names were gazetted. But anyway, the important thing is that Gambia had the commission, which Ndai is talking about, the African Commission that is based here, that was based here and is still here. But it is a requirement under the UN Paris principles that countries have what is called a National Human Rights Commission. And of course, Gambia didn't have one for many reasons. And you know why. The president that we had didn't want the National Human Rights Commission, and they attempted to have one, but the mandate that was given to that commission was felt by the UN and others that was not a proper National Human Rights Commission. So as part of the package of the transitional justice process, on the period in which Abubakar Tambido was Minister of Justice, the government of the Gambia, as part of the transitional justice process, as if you remember, they set up the Jammeh Commission to look into the assets of Jammeh. Then they set up the Truth, Reparation and Reconciliation Commission was one of them, and also what was set up was the Constitutional Review Commission. Then they embarked on the civil service sector reform and what is it called, the security service sector reform. But the National Human Rights Commission was the only, or is the only permanent commission is going to carry what is called the never again mantra. Okay, but just quickly, it has a broad mandate. We have been given a very broad mandate to promote and protect fundamental human rights of this country. And we're given powers to investigate, to monitor, to receive complaints from individuals who feel that and community feel that their rights have been violated. And this complaint can be, the violator can be either the government or even a private individual. But not only that, the law gives us powers as a tribunal to sit down and convene a tribunal, and we are granted the powers of the High Court to look into violations and even recommend remedial action. But we do many other things. We do research, and in order to advise, because we have an advisory role to the government. But I'm sure as we discuss and as we progress, I'll be able to dilate more into what our mandate is and what we have been doing, the challenges, among many other things. Why ci gàttal rek xëj na ma wax ci gaaw a gaaw rek ne suñ mbootaay bi dañ ko sos néegi député yi ñoo ooyee National Assembly ñoo pass loi bi in 2017. Ba pare in 2019 li ñoo ooyee National Human Rights Commission mooy commission bi nga xam ne moo fi nekkal pour seet yi ak yelleefi doomi aadama yi. So lii mooy suñ liggéey parce que suñ ne human rights am na lum bari lum ëmba. We are talking about the right to life, dundu bakken. We're talking about freedom from lawful arrest and detention. Nga jàppa nit, jàppa ko, nga ko enquête, nga tëj ko kaso. Soo jàppee nit danga ko war a jaarale si yoon. Mbiri ak doomi yelleefi aadama daal mooy lu nekk dafa war a jaar si yoon. Yep, dafa war a jaar si loi. Nobody is above the law. Parce que gis nañ la na xewoon ci dëkk bi bañ government biñ fi amoon dafa nootoon ñëpp. Kenn ñemeñ ci doon a def dara, kenn ñemewutoon a wax dara, jaaraluñu woon dara ci loi. Dëkk nag dafa war a jaaral lu nekk. Soo gisee te lii dafa important pour ñu emphasize ko, waxaat ko. Parce que gis nga jàmm dañ ko war a saxal, jàmm dañ ko war a suuxal. Parce que su amut rek problème laa mujjee. Soo xoolee mbiru Afrique yëpp li fa nekk problème yi de am yëpp mooy doomu aadama ne ayda dañ ma aaye the right to vote, dama waroon a vote joxuñ ma doole bi, or I am deprived of my economic rights, the right to education, right to health, ak yu bare daal. So lii lay tax ñu sos National Human Rights Commission. Waaye dañ ko sos waaye dafa moom boppam, dafa independent. Amul benn government institution or department or ministry bu ma war a jox, or man ak suma commission bi pour wax ñu ne ni ngeen war a doxalee o nar leen waree doxalee the only body ñi nga xam ne ñoo am supervisory jurisdiction over us mooy di National Assembly te dinaa wax loolu ca kanam lu bare parce que ñu na National Assembly bi ñoo dee diisoo in fact loi bi dafa ne every at bu jot dama leen war a jox report on lan mooy xew si dëkk bi naka la demee ak last week sax semaine bi passé oo nañ ñu pour ñu dem uyu leen ci ay am na yu bare yu doon xew si dëkk bi dañ ñu bëggoon a laaj comme que ñun am nañ doole lan lañ def ci yooyu noonu foog naa ne xaarama bàyyangum ba ca kanam ñu gën a yaatal wax bi and then I will come in and out as you maybe if you pose questions to be specific so that I can be able to answer them.
Bëgg naa ñëw quickly ma laajte xam nga soo waxee ak yelleefi doomi Adama dafa ëmb lu bari let's say yelleefi doomi Adama dem na ci wérgu yaram dem na ci am pour mun a jànga dem na ci loo xam ne nga am dundin boo xam ne bu sella la dundin bu tedda am na boo xam ne tamit nga am dunda boo xam ne nekkuloo ci ay ragal o ay tiit ne dina am ñi ñàpp sa kaw o daanu sa kaw jël sa alal o sa dëkkin so man fu ma xel fu mu dem mooy ci comme wérgu yaram gi ñun ñëpp yéegoon nañ ci gannaaw am na suñ ay doom foog naa 66 xale yoo xam ne deyoon nañ te through this syrup medication ba pare tamit dañ dee dégga jigéen ñi suñ ombe war a wosin ñi si bari dañ dee ñàkk seen bakkan so lan la commission bi di def ci loolu.
waaw ok jërëjëf axi ak yelef lim ëmb bare na mooy mbiri wérgu yaram foog naa ne suñu waxee the right to health mooy mbiri wérgu yaram and you are very right su fekkee ne dang doon follow reports yi ba li ñoo ooye AKI acute kidney injury disease bam njëkkee am mu génn National Human Rights Commission suñ press release ba ak lañ njëkk a bind Minister of Health and the Office of the President mooy this is serious. The government should, without any delay, form a task force. Ñun ñoo njëkka binda government bi ne leen lii du mun a am sa dëkka because li xew mooy du yëf yi wér gu yaram rek but it was affecting xale yi. A lot of children died. We don't know. I think the last count was 70 something. It had gone to something, and we were the first institution pour njëkka engage government bi ba pare ba gaay defee task force bi. Government bi bañ defee li ñoo ooyee task force joxe nañ nag report bi président bi soo bàyyi xel people ñëpp a ngi xaar implementation of the recommendations ñun dañ ñu ooyoon sax pour ñu bokka although it was a government task force ooyoon nañ ñi pour ñu bokka pour xelal government bi as to naka lañ war a defee mbir bi dama laa just wax rek ne these are many things that we do because ñun am nañ advisory role ci mbir bi so we were very pivotal in this whole process parce que li dee ak li nga wax itam maternal naka mortality maternal deaths ak yi am yëpp si government bi parce que human rights comme niñ ko dee waxee rek lim ëmb dafa bare and you cannot just have a nation there has to be accountability there has to be accountability and ñun fa la ñoo ñëwee parce que Gambie lu bare fii daf fi dee xew ñëpp ne teg dañoo coow bàyyi mu dem coow bàyyi mu dem consequences du xew so looloo taxoon ñu jóg sa ca njëlbeen and we actually spoke to the Ministry of Health ne there has to be results oriented we cannot just say ne we have these numbers of deaths 70 children have died what is the government doing so xoolee nag and we have been pushing ñun suñu liggéey pour wax la rek ne a lot of the work that we do we even do it behind the scenes because we have an advisory role liñ dee push government bi pour ñu def li war bare na loo tax ma wax la rek ne task force bi nga dégg noonu ñun ñoo njëkka confront government bi ne you cannot have such an issue in a country and nothing is happening, or at least nothing is seemed to be done. You have to do something. Ci yima wax rek ci gàttal am na yu bare. That is one of it, miru wergu yaram. When it comes to issues relating to even police brutality, amna du yaga degon nga bena mata bi hewon fi ñun we even sat as a commission and we called the police high command moy bañ decide bañ toge, and we even made findings, our fact finding on the issue of góor gi mbuub. How many yange fatelu bañ ne nañ ko génne anti crime, and we even offered recommended monetary compensation, which was made. There is a lot of things that we do, but yes, you are right. The right to health, it's very important, and as I speak to you, already I'm the report going to the National Assembly pour ñu summon the members of the executive responsible to go and answer to them, because what we do, our findings at the National Assembly level as well. Apart from the fact that we also deal directly with the respective government institution. So these are one of the many other things that we do. We are good need enquête on the right of the environment. In fact, we have even come up with a study to help the government.
You digress on that. Yangi mentioned finding the Gorgimbubi. And going back to that issue, a lot of people then feel on Gorgimbu was just given a slap on the wrist, with all the allegations made against him by transferring him from, anti-crime to somewhere else. So, Nahian Commission, were you satisfied with that outcome?
Well, okay. Hamga Lindon enquête, that particular incident. That was what we were looking into. Degala na góor gi mbuub weex na dunga wax nañ ko indi ne am na place yu bare yoo xam ne wax nañ mbiram waaye ñun luñ doon enquête that particular time complaint ba ñëwoon si ñun mooy nim dealee with the arrest of a group of boys ak koo xam ne was allegedly assaulted. So it was that particular incident balañ doon xool. So it was not only that we ordered monetary compensation, we ordered him to be disciplined and also to be removed. But so these were measures that we put in place, but also the training of the police itself, of the police high command. We even finally came up with what was called a code of conduct for the police.
So because I know you recommended for him to be removed. That is not very clear, because a lot of people didn't go in a different perspective. Remove from anti-crime or remove from the police?
What at the period, what we said that he could not be, he should be disciplined and he should be removed as head of anti-crime, to be precise. And that was done. Because issue of dismissal, that is the mandate of the Nakarenko or IGP. But we ordered for his discipline, removal as head of anti-crime, and compensation for the victim that was affected. We also ordered the training of PIU officers and also training of police officers in general, among other things. So these were the things that we did. And at least those recommendations that we did for that particular issue that we were investigating, that was done at the time.
Okay, investigation, recommendation, and implementation. How far can you go, Mr. Joof? How far can you go to stop?
How far can we go to stop? Okay, just again, let me come briefly what our mandate is. It gives us a broad mandate of promoting and protecting human rights. Promotional is very broad, raising awareness. Then we come to the protection mandate. It is definitely the duty of the state to respect, protect, and fulfill the rights of everyone within the confines of the Gambia. So what powers do we have? I think that is what you are asking. For example, when we investigate, we monitor. Comme ni mala ni amut any police station bo xamne man and my team munuñ fa duga wala ben prison, and we don't even need the permission of the authorities, of the IGP or whatever. This is our mandate, because we must make sure that cells that and prisons must in accordance with what we call the Mandela rules. So this we do, just to tell you, monitoring bobu every time. When we find people, just like just recently, so don't follow the ngadega arrest. Whenever we get information about somebody who's arrested, degala police right. That is their job to investigate crimes. They have a right to protect life and property, and we do not get involved in their investigation. What we do is to make sure that they follow due process. So molem ko hamne japa nañ la, we go if we know, we go straight to the police, my officers. We have investigators, we have lawyers, and they go there to find out why. And if you've been held without being informed, we tell the police they have a right to consult their lawyers. One, they have a right within 72 hours. You either give them police bail or bring them before a court of law. And if you don't, which means that you are breaking the law. So has that been done? Yes, the police have been found wanting in that area. And sorry, young people want to interject.
No, carry on. I'm coming. Just carry on.
Yes. Well, yeah, just to explain to you that these are the things that we do. Just recently, in the issue of Madi Cisse, in fact, not only did our investigators go, but Madi Jobarteh, one of our commissioners actually went all the way to where he was detained, and we told them in no uncertain terms this man needed medical treatment, and he was taken straight to Nakala Plaza, to the Westfield, I think, and then released. And so but just to tell you that there is a lot of things that we do, but of course the people also have the fundamental right. Remember, and we also serve as advisory role, not only to the government to make sure that they're doing the right thing, but also to even sue this government. If for example, your rights have been trampled upon, not only government, members of the executive or even private citizen, you have a right to actually file a suit before the High Court. What we do is complementary, but people also have a right. If your fundamental rights have been abused or violated, you have a fundamental right. But you see, receiving complaints and monitoring is only part of the work that we do. If you have been watching just the TV the last 2-3 days, we had a big convergence on the right of persons with disability, because we just to tell you that we do a lot of things. We just realized that we had the law since 2021, but it has not been implemented. So we had a 2-day convergence where we called the Minister of Gender.
Remember 1 minute,
children,
for clearance sake.
Sorry.
Yeah, ndila mane because my is mugi ekati lohom. Hamga yangi mention earlier ngane commission bi then powers of the High Court or the Supreme Court. Be pare dengena form like a tribunal. Like a tribunal.
Yes.
So dama buga nga leral fofu. So
yes.
fekene am ngeen powers of the High Court or to form a tribunal. So fekene found ngeen policy wanting in violating, the rights of citizens or alleged suspects. Ndax yeen do len charge policy ngeen trial or tribunal bobu is just for investigation.
No. Okay, just to tell you, there is one matter that we just dealt with, Buyagudni. It was not even the police, but it was to do with the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. The complaint came to us. We set up our panel. The complainant came. And when we did our investigation, we called them, and we discovered that really there was heavy-handedness. The person was assaulted. And they requested to pay $50,000 to the complainant, among other things that we recommended, which they all did. And they actually paid the check was paid directly. I'm just saying that not everything that we do that comes out there, but I'm just telling you that that was not long ago. This was the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, but the National Human Rights Commission also is not just there for as a tribunal to look at police brutality. We do, and we even advise, and we tell the Minister of Justice, and the Minister of Interior, because we have an advisory role. There are certain things the Minister needs to do certain things. The IGP needs to do certain things. We even, as I tell you, individuals will have to sometimes go to the High Court where they will even get better, what we call in law, better damages. So we do that because our work, as I said, involves, we are not just a commission set up just to receive complaints of police matters. That's what I'm saying. So there are many things that we do. That's why I even mentioned this, the rights of people with disability. If you look at Sodeme Sunwe PG, there was a time we took up this matter of the caste system in the URR, in the Sarahule areas, which has a big problem, and we came up with some very interesting findings, and which we're advising the government to put it into policy so that it will be implemented. I'm just saying that we cannot also just reduce ourselves to a complaint tribunal, because that is why we have the courts. And sometimes, even though we find the IGP wanting, we will tell the IGP what needs to be done. But maybe sometimes to get effective remedy, people should visit the court system. But that doesn't stop us. We do hold that 39-day tribunal. Talk. Perhaps it's not publicized, but so do get on your website. With the talk, and then we use the powers given to us as High Court, because someone as High Court, lilo mean moy suñ toge suñ waxe IGP ni dañ soxla certain documents daf ñu ko wara jox, because powers yoy la High Court bi am suñ waxe IGP ni mi defal sangam ak sangam daf ko wara def, because those are the powers that are given to us. But our job is very broad. I am telling you, today we even have regional offices in URR and also in Farafenye.
Yes, Ahande.
Okay,
Bamba, welcome. You are too late, Bamba. Later back B, and then we're going to fine you. You know, Saul is going to do that. Saul, final.
My apologies. My apologies. I was somewhere. I was really. Suma help yep movie. Why I was really very busy. Suma dugesa you wouldn't like it. You know, hamga Sol suma ndola suma halela buma de living ak Sol is my junior.
Yangi appear gentleman. Why you not gentleman today? You flaunted all that rights as a gentleman.
Chairman Joof for that more living.
Okay,
Chairman Joof, what I want also to know more in it, because I'm doing listeners, most of them you're very curious about the individual Gambian bi nakala Gambian bi muna ñëwé use sen office bi, because du ñëpp mëna dem court, du ñëpp mëna dem yobu police court because amuñ xaliss bi, du ñëpp mëna def lots of other this complaint dem face police ni ñi amuñ fit bi. Ndax individual Gambian bi mëna ñëw ci yeen lay complain am and ngeen help ko through this process even to the court level.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. Yes, the simple answer is any Gambian can just walk straight into our office. Our offices. The secretariat is based in Kotu. We also, as I said, as of last year, because when we talk about human rights, we had to decentralize. As of last year, we also have regional offices. Anybody can walk into that office. But just to tell you that what we have done recently, ñu ngi door di am billboards all over the country, so that people will know. If you are giving people a service, they must know that you exist. So ñu ngi fu mu nekk nii sooy drive at certain spots, dinañ la won with the phone number where you can, and how you can even get us through phone numbers. But also dina la hopefully balaa ngeen pare mun ngeen a dugg itam suñ website bi. People can even reach us through the complaint form can even be reached through the website. So so you can even reach us through the website, because and the thing is, you do not have to be the actual victim, which is important. And we did this especially for children. So and I speak to you today, that has been so useful, because anga Gambia and the Maslaha syndrome BPM nit munna dara munna next door bugulo se pain. Why and interestingly, that is very useful, because and we have this issue of confidentiality. We just need, give us the information, and people are doing that. People are doing that. So just to answer you, yes, but pour one la we have what we call jingles in the radio stations. Now you go defitam si community radio station, so that anybody in the local languages. So for neka dinga xamne, if you have an issue, lo xamne da nga wax buga ñu leralal lako, you can just walk into the National Human Rights Commission office and just sit, and confidentially you can deal. We have lawyers, we have investigators, and I'm talking, when I say lawyers, and trained investigators, and a case file is open for you, and they and others. If you read, remember I mentioned that we are mandated by law every year to report not only to the National Assembly, but to make our reports wide all over the country. Sumapare dinalen yonesa our 2019 report, 2020 report, 2021 report, 2022 report on like yingen ma like ni. What was the human rights situation? What cases did you deal with? What cases came to you? How did you resolve? In fact, we are mandated, Lingen ma like day. How did you resolve the complaints? Did you have any challenges? Did the government comply? If they didn't comply, what did you do? That is why we work very closely with the National Assembly, as I've mentioned. And last week, they actually called me. And when they called me and my commissioners, they wanted to ask us. They are not waiting for the end of the year. They said, listen, we have given you this mandate under the Act to do X, Y, and Z. We have issues relating to unlawful arrest. X, Y, Z, what have you done? What was the outcome? We had to give them a report. And in this instance, we even had to inform them that we have been having challenges with certain executive branch who are actually, by virtue of our mandate, they have not been very cooperative. And just to tell you how it's important post-legislative scrutiny is, they were very happy, and they are going to call that particular person in the executive to ask them, why are you flouting the laws? Because then it becomes contempt. Again, I'm just trying to explain to you the process.
Mr. Joof, if you bear with me here, some of these things we need to know, we want to know. So the government, if the government or government body is not cooperating, what do you do next?
Yes. For example, if you look at our act, it says if we request a document from, say, we're doing an investigation and we need the station diary. I'm just giving you an example. They must give us access to it, and they must do so within a minimum of 30 days. They have to. So, okay, so far, I have to be honest with you, what we have has been delays. They do. When we tell them that we're going to kickstart the process, then quickly they run and do it. But I was just explaining that in this particular case that I'm talking about, there was a delay. We have requested a document and we sent the reminder. And interestingly, when we sent the reminder and went to the National Assembly, we got a response saying, well, of course, the excuse that when the letter came, it went somewhere, but we will receive all the information as soon as possible. Okay, the point I'm making is that there will become a point when we may face a situation when a particular executive body refuses to. I think this is what you're asking me. I have to be honest that so far, and even those who have been arrested, that's what I'm telling you, we discovered is 70 what, and we go there straight away. Why are you holding this person? And so far, the next day, they are arraigned before a court of law or they are giving police bail. So what I see right now is that we are a deterrent institution. They have been cooperating, although I have noticed sometimes reluctance but by the time we kickstart the process of actually making an enforcement, because the law says that we can seek remedial action. It says we make recommendation and seek remedial action. We have not gone to the fact where we have to go to the court and enforce it yet. We have not reached that. But I tell you, we have to be nakaleko English there. We have to be on the alert, because you see with human rights issues, we are like auditors. We audit the democratic and human rights environment, and people don't like people like us because they feel we are nosing, and we're new. And we know that for a fact that a lot of complaints are made. And that was why, if you've been following, when we just recently sent a press release regarding utterances that were made by His Excellency, if you've been following, regarding those who are arrested, he will tell the IGP. People, we on no uncertain terms, we directly, not only do we write, we also we will call and say that this is not what the president should do. This is when we do these things, of course the executive are not happy. They even label us when it suits them. We are NP, we are UDP. There was a period within 2 days I was NPP in the morning. The UDP were not very happy because of certain actions that we did in the commission. And by the following day, I was UDP because NPP was not happy. I'm just explaining to you. But just there is something I want to just ask, just to show impact. You are asking me a question. Do we have effect? Let's go back memory lane. You may not remember, but during the 3-year Jotna problem, when King FM and Member Kering were closed, if you remember, the National Human Rights Commission summoned the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Information, GPU, Gambia Press Union, into our office. And after a meeting, and us telling them exactly what, in a closed-door meeting, within 24 hours, those radio stations were open. It was because of what NHRC did also behind closed doors. We have government beat their chest here and there are a lot of things that we do. That's what I'm saying. People will abuse us, but you'll find the next day you will get a statement from either State House or somewhere saying that no, that was not meant. Oh, no, we only got Mahdi just to find out what he wrote on Facebook. But be rest assured that the National Human Rights Commission was there and was putting and piling the pressure. And this is our mandate. We have a very interesting mandate. As I said, people sometimes will want us to reduce our mandate to a tribunal. No, but that's not only our job. We've been brought back to bring, we've been established to bring back a culture of rule of law, justice, human rights, and peace in this country. And that's why we tackle a lot of things. If you look at the issues relating to women's rights, the issue of FGM, why the Minister of Gender and the Minister of Justice?
I have to interject here.
Go on, Bamba.
First of all, I want to greet Lawyer Joof. Sere Ngawai, I first must thank you. I know you are working on a very difficult environment. Gambia having just come out of dictatorship. Ndey Manglanu you, Mustapha, I'm greeting you. But my problem with the National Human Rights Commission, or my question to the National Human Rights Commission is, because as a human rights activist, I know your job. I have been to your office when JSO was there. I have seen firsthand the kind of work that you do, and I must first commend you. But I have this kind of issue. I don't know whether it has been discussed prior to my coming, which is police invitation on Fridays. Police invitations on Fridays, it is categorically stated in our constitution that you cannot be detained beyond 72 hours. So normally, the culture that we have seen in the Gambia is most people are called on Fridays for questioning. And it's very likelihood that mostly if you are called on a Friday, you are detained Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then probably Wednesday you might either be released or charge or something around that. So this Saturday, Sunday, is it not part of the 72 hours that is stated in our constitution? Because our constitution says 72 hours. Why Saturday, Sunday is culturally normally not counted? Or is the Human Rights Commission kind of looking into that and finding out why police would detain you beyond Saturday, Sunday? Like if they invite you on Friday, they normally detain you. Friday is half day, as they culturally say. Though I do not agree with that, but Saturday, Sunday is normally not counted. Normally they would say, oh, Monday, maybe Wednesday they will release him, because by Wednesday it will be beyond 72 hours. Why do people have this belief that Saturdays, Sundays are not counted? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. First thing I would say, Gay Souls Institution was a regional and an African institution. That was the Institute for Human Rights and Development, which is a bit different. Our mandate is they are an international NGO. Ours is a state institution which is hybrid, because we are graded by the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions based in Geneva, where the UN sits. And by the way, we are an A status institution within 3 years of our existence. But then again, let me quickly answer your question. I agree with you. And interestingly, I was just nodding my head when you were saying this, because one of the issues that we discussed at the National Assembly, I told you that we were summoned. We were summoned because the National Assembly were also the same questions that you're asking was actually asked. Two things, two problems that are there. And just to allay your fears that we are working on it, and we are just going to write to the IGP, because these are issues that came out. One, actually, when they say 72 hours, the law says 72 hours, whether it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 72 hours is 72 hours. So let's get that very clear. One. Number two, there is another problem, a mistake. I think that the police, for whatever reason, interpret it in their ways, which is wrong. When the law says that within 72 hours, you should either be granted police bail or brought before a court, and it will be the court that will decide. That doesn't mean that they should hold you for 72 hours. Again, that's another issue. Whenever you say, they said, well, it's not above 72 hours. In fact, one of our commissioners, when he went to find out, and because when we go there, we have a checklist. Again, our job is not to impede the work of the police. Let me be very clear. Because the police, they have a mandate. What is our checklist? For example, if Yusufa is arrested, the family members, or we get to know about it. One, is Yusufa, according to our laws, section 19, section 7, section 19 and 21 of our constitution, has Yusufa been told the reason why he is arrested? Because the law says within 3 hours. And then the law says that within that period, reasonable period, you must be given access to your lawyers. Have you been given? Is Yusufa also kept in a place, an ideal place? Here we have checklists as to what the cells, and in fact we have just submitted our report on the nature of the cells and detention facilities in the Gambia, because they have to be human rights compliant. I'm just trying to tell you. And then the next thing we ask, how long has Yusufa been here? Of course, usually the police will tell us that investigation is going on. You know, it's difficult for us to say that, no, you have to release him within 72 hours. Our job is to tell them that if you don't have to keep Yusufa here, you don't keep Yusufa here within 72 hours. And the law also says strictly that within 72 hours, you either give him police bail, or charge him, give him police bail, or bring him before a court of law. It is now the court of law, the magistrate or the judge, that will decide. But just to tell you that how sometimes we misinterpret things. I was a magistrate before, just to tell you, so that you know that I was also in the system during those days. And actually, I was the magistrate for they call it LR, LRD, and LR and NBD. I was the magistrate responsible for North Bank and the Lower River Division. And I remember this particular station officer, whenever I do my rounds, I was actually proactive. I will ask them, which detainees do you have in the cells? How long have they been there? Are you investigating? And whenever somebody was there, 78, 72 hours, I tell them, bring them before me. It is now not your job to, if you're going to keep them, you either give them police bail and they report back until my next sitting, or you bring them before me and tell me why he should not be granted bail, or she. Some people, maybe they are flight risk, or the offense they have committed is so grave, or they have actually jumped bail before. But it is not the job of the police to arrogate all rights on themselves. I just want to agree with you that this is a problem that we need to fix, and we are aware of it. And especially recently, the spate of arrests that have happened, and arrests above the 72 hours, which you are talking about. They are reading it as if they get hold of you on a weekend doesn't exist. The law is very clear. It says 72 hours. And I'm just agreeing with you. But these are the things that we need to fix. And our reports are very, very clear, even to the National Assembly. When we were called, and these are the things we tell them, we need to sit with the IGP, let the police understand that it is abuse of office. And you know, when something is abuse of office, if you saw the IGP, you see, that's why our role is very funny. We are also advising them that, listen, if this matter gets to the court, the court will award damages against you. And I'm sure recently you just saw Justice Jaite ordering the IGP to not to get involved in a commercial matter. I don't know how often you scan the environment, and if they do, they'll be held for contempt. You see, the other problem that Mustapha, and it's for all Gambians. Let us not just leave it to the NHRC. We are all in it together. We have to test our courts. People are now testing the National Human Rights Commission. If I tell you, we are so overworked since we opened our regional offices, and since everybody knows that we have offices, people they call our lines, they come to the office every single day. But people also have to also test the courts. And this is what we also tell them. We even refer. Sorry, okay, I'll keep quiet for now. But just to agree with you, Mustapha. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, maybe the court system, the amount, the money attached to it, maybe the level of poverty and the level of earning, people are not able to go to the court directly to be able to fund that or finance that. So what can your office do in that instance, Mr. Joof?
Okay. Now the Gambia has what is called the legal aid. We have NALA, National Council for Legal Aid. And I work very closely with Kemo. Kemo is the executive director. What we need, what you're talking about, really, every country, we cannot just step in as a legal aid institution, because a country must have a proper legal, and we have an act which has a legal, and the act gives the legal aid body, the agency, to carry out representation. Unfortunately, that legal aid agency is not resourced properly, and this is one of the things that we are pushing. You are in England. You have the legal aid board. I don't know now what you have. You used to have the green form scheme. You even, apart from that, you have the Mackenzie Citizens Advice Bureau. But the legal aid, this is what we are now pushing. And I'm saying legal aid here, not just for issues relating to involving police, but what about women's garden? One of the many cases that we wrote to the Minister of Lands, not regional government, the other day, you have these women running their farm, their garden farms, and then you have people come, powerful people, taking these lands from them, either because the state developers come. These are their rights, their livelihoods. So and issues of land rights, it's a big problem, and it's a powder keg in this country. The National Human Rights Commission cannot solve all the problem. So we are also pushing for like the agency for legal aid, so that they can be resourced well, so that they can do their work. Because I'm just agreeing with you that we cannot carry. We are not a legal aid institution as such, because a legal aid institution will actually represent people in court. So just to answer your, maybe this will help as well. We cannot go to court and represent people. We have already been given powers, albeit limited powers, to sit as a tribunal to deal with certain matters. And we have to prioritize, because our mandate, as I said, is very broad. If I sit here today to tell you all the things that we're doing and we should do, you will be very surprised. We've been given a massive mandate. But that notwithstanding, we also have an MOU with all other agencies that are also supposed to help the rule of law process. And legal aid is one. And legal aid is an institution. In fact, I was just telling the National Assembly that if we're going to have justice, because here we're talking about access to justice, setting up a National Human Rights Commission is fantastic. We're doing our job, we're being resourced, but to have court representation, you need a legal aid that is right, so that people who do not have the resources, and this is what we're talking about, this is what and we're talking about a means and merits test. You look at their means, you look at the merits, and you say, no, this person must, the legal aid board must represent this person. Currently, the legal aid board is representing people who cannot afford the services of a lawyer when it comes to, if the persons are charged with very serious offenses like murder, manslaughter, those kind of offenses, or when it involves children. But the act itself needs to be broadened. In fact, there is a provision there which says that once the government of this country set up a minimum wage, but we don't have to wait for that. It's about time we review. And one of the things that we do is to tell the government that you have to review this act. And we're telling them, we cannot talk about access to justice in this country if we do not have a proper functioning legal aid system. And that is what is lacking. And we are pushing this government through also the National Assembly to have a functioning legal aid. Currently, but let me just add, maybe this will be something that you will like. What the National Human Rights Commission can do is to have what we call amicus curiae brief. When a matter is brought before a court, and it involves also a fundamental human rights violation, we as a commission, we can file in a brief called a friend of the court to help the judges to come up with a proper decision by virtue of the regional, international conventions and treaties that the Gambia has ratified. So that we can do. But it is a problem. Affordability. You cannot talk about justice without making, it's like, let me just tell you what a famous judge said in England when they were reforming, since you guys are based there, when they were reforming the legal aid system, he told them, we need to be serious. We cannot say, I don't know whether the Ritz Hotel is still the most famous hotel in the UK, but he said, justice in England is like the Ritz Hotel. You're saying it's open to everybody, but of course it is only those who can afford it. So it's the same with justice. We have to make justice accessible. And this is what you are saying. And we are working on it because really access to justice is key in a democracy. People must have access to justice. All of you, people must have access. They must have confidence in their justice system. Their justice system must be affordable and not complicated or expensive.
Okay. Yes,
okay. Okay,
Thank you so much, Chairman. Justice should be accessible because man misa how more there is a legal aid in the Gambia because mostly nit ñi duñ dé mëna afford the system. But fuma bëgg ñëw quickly rek moy né ndax di ngeen dé hold the conflict the constitution have ak human fundamental rights in nit ñi. Just to give an example of the Public Order Act bi nga xamné gis nañ légui ñu ko use a lot. Si system be in arresting nit ñi jëli nit ñi oil leen da di ngeen dee xool because 1 minute constitution bi may na la right for this 1 minute jël na ko from another way ndax yooyu tamit di ngeen ko dee xool.
You are right. Dinañ ci gàttal dinañ ko dee xool parce que soo xoolee ñun lan lañ suñ mandate dafa ne we should ñu xool legislation loi yi ñu am si dëkk bi ndax ànd na constitution bi te loolu nga ma laaj just to tell you ne bu yàggut ni amoon na benn advice buñ ñu laajoon because ñu ngi am loi boo xam ne ànduta constitution bi so xoolee for example our Armed Forces Act jox na doole bi di CDS fu muy jàpp nit ñi foofu di ko renew every 7 days ba ñu laajee ñu ne leen gis ngeen ba Armed Forces Act boobu ñëwee check leen constitution bi section 19 li mu wax ne mënuloo jàpp nit foog nga indi ko before a court of law si gàttal rek dinañ dee def loolu waaye emuñ foofu rek loo tax am na li ma wax ma ne la am na luñ dee def ñu ngi ko ooyee di advisory we call it advisory notes and publication parce que li ñu loi bi sas mooy nañoo dimbali government bi ak néegi député yi ñuy xool loi yi nga xam ne ànduta yoon du pour ne rek constitution you see Gambia is good at ratifying regional treaties and convention we are very good at it dañoo dem ñu ratify ba pare ñëw duñ def li war just let me explain to you for example soo xoolee tooco ñun we are one of those that spearheaded and pushed the government ne the act domesticating torture must be domesticated and is now domesticated bañ ñu sosee ben tey the rights of people with disability waxoon nañ leen ne mane you have to have a proper law ñu def loi bi loi bi ñu ko def 2 years ago waaye comme loo tax ñu amoon keroog conference bi waaye ñu discover ne ak boobu sax government bi defuñ si commencement date as soon as the president gives it seal assent dafa war a am commencement date because amul commencement date nekkuñ di implement loi boobu te soo xoolee disability act bi dafa ne any building that happens tey public building dafa war a am ram ak lift toilets public toilet dafa war a am public dafa la war a am access to nga xam ne nit koo xam ne da nga disable war nga am access to public facilities toilets rams but not only we say education is free and compulsory basic why hanga lan la ak bi wax mu ne nit ñi nga xam ne they have visually impaired we must have braille we must have audio visual programs loi bi daf ko def te dafa ne government bi must they have to public transport yëpp war a am ram why it's through our review of the laws si lañ discover ne wait a minute we have these beautiful laws, typical Gambia. Why banko tege bente? People with disabilities are still suffering. And we that was why on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we did a convergence of persons living with disability and bringing the ministry of NECO. And you know what happened? Immediately we called the ministry. They told us that they have sent to the Ministry of Justice to add it in the short title that the commencement date will start soon. Damala just one, but of course these are things that people will not know unless you are pulling our work. I'm just telling you that this many things that we do. I agree with you. It's our job is work in progress. But it is important that you have such an institution because if you don't have this institution, they just sit there. Even issue of the police, Mandama believe it's even an advancement. If you don't have national human rights institutions, if you don't have us working with civil society, if you don't have us publicizing social media this will not even come to the fray. It will not even be out there. These things are happening. Everything that we followed, even if they broke the law for extra 1 or 2 days, what happens? They reluctantly they follow the law. So we have to do what is governments. Yes, we're in a very funny position because we're a state institution, but we're also hybrid. You see, our job is very interesting in the sense that internationally they audit us, whether we are actually auditing the government, which I like about our job. You don't grade. Then on all the press releases. They actually wanted to see the press releases, the advisory to the government. Because then they am closed door meeting with His Excellency. We do, and it's very open and frank for journalists in Ecuador. And we tell him exactly what as a head of state, what is expected of the law.
Does he cooperate? Are you getting that cooperation, Honorable?
Yes. Okay. I would say that he will cooperate, and he
No.
tells
Let's
us
be
he has
straight
all the
here. Let's
intention.
straight shoot. Let's
Oh,
straight
well,
shoot.
that question. How do I answer correct? It's up to you to form your opinion. He
Okay.
definitely, because the thing is, all government, nobody actually wants to be seen in a bad light. That is number one. So His Excellency understands. He has a legacy, and a National Human Rights Commission, for example, is the scorecard, because people really respect our opinion. When the government gives a report in Geneva, we give a shadow report, and they actually put more emphasis on our report. So they will want to do the right thing. Do they sometimes not do the right thing? Of course, yes. They sometimes not do the right things, and you have to call them to order. So that's what I keep on telling everybody. Human rights is work in progress, and all politicians, like Mohalako, you will try and push the envelope. Politicians, and that is why it's important that you have institutions. I call them these institutions that audit rule of law and democracy, like a functioning independent NHRIs, like us, NHRC, NHRI. Some countries they call them National Human Rights Institution. A functioning anti-corruption commission. This is important. We must have, for the sake of access to justice, a fully functioning legal aid board, agency that works, because all these things are the things that actually makes the wheel of democracy progress. So, and then not only that, let us test the courts. If you're right, but again, I'm sure people are saying, yes, lawyers are expensive. But I've also even spoken to the president of the bar. It is about time that also the bar, like in other countries, should institutionalize what we call pro bono cases. In countries legally, every lawyer, practicing lawyer, at least two or three, depending on the country, cases free of charge. But if your chambers is so busy, they are just commercial, they don't want to get involved, you pay money into the kitty. So they go pay, okay, munulo jail case, but every year at least do 20,000 kitty or 30,000 in the legal aid kitty. But these are things that we need to do, and our institution is that institution that is mandated to scan the whole environment to make sure that we have these things in place. But we have to, and I always tell people, we cannot give up. Gambia is our country. Sometimes things fail, and I am very depressed sometimes, like you. But we have to make it work. We have gone more than 1 hour.
Yes.
I wanted to ask Mr. Joof, this is a direct question. With the nature of your job, have you ever been approached, bribed, or tried to be bribed or coaxed to kind of say something or write something that would put the government in a good picture? That is my first question. Has anybody tried to put you within the inner circle? Has anybody coaxed you so that they can have you on board to be able to do as they wish? Number three, does your work covers land issues? Because what I have seen lately is this eviction process that is ongoing. A lot of poor people, a lot of people that are really actually very poor, living from hand to mouth, sometimes are evicted from their homes due to lack of no access to legal service, or possibly they couldn't afford it, and that they would have issues with people like yourself, very powerful. A poor man like me, you have all the money, you have all the legal tools at your disposal, goes to court, and I couldn't be represented, or I couldn't defend myself, and all of a sudden I am evicted from my home where my children have been born over 20 years. So those kind of things, do they come under your desk to look at?
All right. To start with, whether I have been bribed, well, to be honest, no, I have not been bribed. Have the government, have they tried to put me I think I am a person who says things very openly. Of course, I speak on behalf of the commission. So I think the work that I do is clear out there. And to be honest, I think people will be afraid to try and bribe me because they will be afraid that I'll be the first person to say that, guess what? They even try to bribe me. So I'm just answering your questions. No, but have they tried to influence me? I think maybe that is the other question.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I have not had direct interference. Although I do hear indirectly, of course, Gambia is small. Gambia is a very small place, and be very careful. Even surnames don't matter. You can be a Jawara, a Joof, a Goddard, not knowing that your uncle is a Jobarteh somewhere, or your paternal or maternal. So this is the beauty of the Gambia. Sometimes it has advantages and disadvantages. So you do hear that they are not very happy. They think you're opposition, but it's okay if you are doing this kind of job. But you see, the thing is, if they look at my profile, during the time we were the first group with the likes of Boubacar Tambidu before we went out. I worked many years outside as well. We were the first to start what was called we call it Coalition of Human Rights Defenders. And I remember during that time, this was the most dangerous period when Jammeh said that he was going to send a 6-foot deep. But I still remember during that period, people will say, they are being influenced by UDP or Gambians should stop. If injustice is injustice. And I used to tell them, some of them became a victim of the same system. During that period. And if you remember, I always keep on saying this, those who even used to make mockery of us during that period, when we were filing cases, pro bono cases, as you are asking now, when people were arrested, we used to file pro bono cases against, free of charge and go to court. And people will laugh at us and say, Ngur ken duko here, until that Ngur consumed all of them. And I always say that there was a period in this country, Solicitor General, Minister of Justice, Chief Justice, Secretary, Head of the Civil Service, the IGP, they were all in jail. Because, you see, the thing is, we must, fuck new Sama Jama. And you can only do this by doing this kind of work. So just to tell you, are people happy with my job? No, of course not. And last week I was UDP. I saw them putting and I'm holding a mic for Dabo. But some also UDP also because we said things against that the president should not have said certain things. But if you look at our press release, it was advisory and to the point. But of course, other people were also angry that it was not strong enough. It should have criticized Dabo and not tell Barrow and not tell Dabo to be using certain. But we're also saying, listen, as even you're a head of the opposition, you cannot also, you have to be tempered. Or even if you don't say it, if people in your party are saying don't make this country ungovernable, tell them that not in my party and not in my name. We must have independent voices. But of course, the nature of job we do, people will criticize you and they will try to give you a name because that is what is comfortable. Yes, I know for a fact that they have said things to His Excellency, and I know for a fact sometimes on the other side they said things that but it's fine. We are comfortable. As we in the commission says, we are not in the business of making ice cream. So since we are not making ice cream, people will not be happy. We are not selling ice cream. I have no ice cream to give. But coming quickly to your last question, issues relating to land. I have actually mentioned it. It is something that is really, you see, I was lucky. When I just came back to the Gambia, I was made the chairperson of the Farababanta Commission of Inquiry. So I can even make available that report for you. So this also gave me a lot of inside information about issues relating to land rights and mining, extractive industries, sand mining, among other things. And we gave this government serious recommendations, which unfortunately is gathering dust. Because if those recommendations are there, because we were meant to also recommend to the government and tell them why this thing has happened and what they need to do. If they just pick up that volume, they will find out. So there are problems. And it's a powder keg. Because especially if you look at Combo South, here all of a sudden the value of land has gone up. Now we have Chinese fish meal factories. We have estate developers in these areas. We have sand mining, and there is a problem of land ownership. People are giving eviction letters to those who are even there saying that this is our ancestral land. So, so land is a big problem and a big issue. And just, I know we don't have time, but these are issues that we have been taking. We have actually engaged the Ministry of Regional Government and Lands. Unfortunately, we were even supposed to have a meeting with the new government, but we were told that he is seriously ill. But that is the biggest, one of the biggest problems in this country, and the government should take notice of it. I don't know whether I've answered your question. Yes, we land matters are matters that we should be serious about. But not only that, we should be serious in digitalizing these issues relating to land, so that when people are even buying land now coming even to the commercial side. In other countries, all you need to do is you will punch in there and you will tell you who is the owner of the land,
exactly,
who sold the land to themselves. But for whatever reason, we are happy with files being piled at there, people giving money for files to move, selling the same piece of land 3-4 times to people.
Right.
What we are encouraging is conflict. And one of the drivers of conflict is land.
Yeah.
And we need to be careful. And we're telling the government, this is our job. Our job is to flag these things, for the government to be serious with these things. Thank you. I hope I've answered some of your questions.
Yes.
Yes, okay, go on, Sol. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a whole prisoner. I'm going to bambalit komala mota miss na that issue on land, because we spoke about it earlier. So,
go on, Sol.
two things Hima Buga pick up on what you said.
That's why I'm trying to make. I didn't want to mention that. You can go ahead.
Bena bi sutu konding la ko jël, bena bi fale naka.
Binga ne superintendent of police. Alkali bi may na la ñaari land. That was not fair. That was corruption.
Anyway, on a serious note, mention you've been checked by the international body. Mota you people are serious with your works. They can make sure send ligay def ngeen ko before you grade leen. Legi also mention nga ne amna an executive member bo xamne is not compliant with some of send recommendations. So gang ko wara o yena yi wara mita mom. So bepare sisa wa here ne the president will comply. So in my little understanding of English, the family do they comply? So why he will comply? Legi in instances yo xamne send job yenange hold these people accountable, yenange make recommendations and they're not doing it. Let's say for instance land recommendation be yenange mention also about that disability act be among start date, they would bring a start date. So because you among start date they're not working, so it's like it's a white elephant nyung farek and they're not effective. Nyarel be yelevi halei, rights of the child. Gis nañ ne tourists yi dañ dee ñëw, or not even tourists yi, si biir kër yi di nga gis nijaay or di nga gis mag or di nga gis cousin boo xam ne dina sexually assault a child. So you xam nga di lifin loolu di ko xam nga like more sutura ak yooyu duñ ko discuss. Gisoon nañ case boo xam ne wherein a journalist investigate na benn, so police be is trying to negotiate between the parents and the tourists to compensate. Lan la commission bi di def si yooyu?
Well, I think I need 3 hours with you. I don't even know where to start. To be honest, this is not a double barrel question. I don't know even where. Okay, let us, for example, okay, some cases are even ongoing, so I may not want to dilate too much. For example, we've just received 2 cases relating to when we discovered a case involving a child, and we discovered that the police were not doing anything. Straight away, we demand that. Because the complainant came to us. I don't want to go deep into it, but one was even an FGM case when it was discovered that the private parts of the girl was developing maggots, among other things. But I will not name names. Yes, these are things, and we discovered that they were not doing anything. And we straight away sent our investigators and lawyers and we are following this. Is a live case going. So I just got briefing that the charges will be made. But just to tell you that in this, with all these things, if you don't monitor, let me just be honest, you will always have, were you a police officer? They mentioned you being police. You know,
Yes.
in our, yes,
Don't
you
mind
know,
Bamba.
in our society, you have powerful people. Even in this particular instance, we were told that a member of parliament even called. I'm just telling you. This is, but let's be fair, this is the kind of society that we have.
Yeah, but
And
that could
and
cause
the police,
interference, you know, interference.
oh
That
yes,
could-
but I'm just being honest. But we get to know these things, and of course, a lowly police officer there. But even some of them, if you see, even the IGP is there by virtue of some positions are political appointment. Like my position is not a political appointment, but some positions are political appointment. So you have these issues that you have mentioned. They happen, but what do we do? That is why our monitoring role is very important. When we take up an issue like this, we will by Monday, by Friday, I got a report, and then by Tuesday, they will update the commission. Our lawyers will update us as to where the file is with the police, because we are dealing with the rights of children. Do muna nega di arrange. Anga Gambia lu neka ñu arrange. Yo xam nga, yo police nga won. Suñu waxee ñu ne nañ arrange. We are here the arrange rek you know, the jebal ko yalla. We are, you know, we are too much of a sorry.
If you maslaha yoyu dafa wara jeex.
Well, maslaha, and it also takes us back. But I'm just saying you are right. But as I talk to you right now, even the UK police, maybe I should just explain to you, are very concerned relating to the issue of tourists, especially pedophiles in this country. And they are working with our police here, and also even with the National Human Rights Commission. Because now they've also realized that they should not just keep quiet, because it's even giving decent tourists a bad name. So, so it's very interesting, because I was wondering what is in it for them. So because there are many decent tourists, many decent male tourists who are not pedophiles, who want to come and enjoy. But the fact that you start seeing them around, you start feeling that they're pedophiles. But again, we have an institution like Child Protection Alliance. We work with them, but the mandate is to actually monitor these things, and they're doing a good job. But we also have our ministry. You see, the thing is, and this was why we decided in our conference to make sure that the Ministry of Gender, Women and Children, it is the primary responsibility of the government to respect, protect, and fulfill the fundamental rights of children and disabled and everybody. And that was why we have to hold them to account. And this is why we keep on telling the National Assembly, it is your job to call the new Ligne conference being although we are mandated to do this and advise, but National Assembly send buffer. Just to tell you how the Gambia is. They didn't realize that the act, although was passed 2 years, it's not actually being implemented. Damala just explain the laid back attitude of the nature of this country. And and that's why I kept on saying that it's our job, everybody's job. But here, the National Assembly had a role. In fact, the National Assembly should have even asked the government, we've passed this, and the president had given it the presidential assent. Why have you not even started that? Because these things has ramification. Even every builder in this country should be au fait with what is in that Disability Act, knowing that you cannot construct a building without making provisions for ramps, making sure that the toilets are accessible. Oh, I know I have now digressed a bit, but I'm just trying to explain to you that now you see your questions were so many. I don't even know which one I've answered and which one I've not answered.
You are on track, because I was talking about the right of the child, and I've cited, the tourist industry as a clear case in point. And then I also, the second part of the question was about, holding the executive, government, and the private citizens accountable. Like when you make recommendations, are they implementing it? Or if they fail to implement it, what other steps do you take? I think you are on track. Yes.
But let me just add something before we go, because I just loved it. It was dear to my heart. When we had a complainant that came to our office, and he was, of course, the matter was ongoing, but she was a lactating mother. She was detained at a particular police station, and I think there was issues of bribery involved. Do you know that it was a police officer, and that one I was so happy, who told them, "Li suko NHRC yege, legi sa problem je," and I was so happy. That if the police themselves within, which means that there was a good cop who was not even happy with what was happening. And so are we impactful? To me, that was a brilliant story. You know, coming there, telling them, you know, and it was true. The fact that we wrote to them, and in fact, you know, the police are very wise. You're a police officer. You know what they do now? The other day they were talking about crimes. Instead of fighting crimes, they say, you see, deka bi fum nek dafa naxare regle lo wax rek ñu ne la Human Rights Commission. But we are not here. We are not here. We're not saying. That's why we don't even interfere with the work of the police. What we do, we have a checklist. Are the police doing due process? But the fact that we are being mentioned, the fact that even within the police, someone is telling them, you know, girl, go to the legislation guy, behave if you get to the NHRC. Because we need this institution. You see, the thing is, and you know, Gambia, we need to be careful. But, you know, we all tend to forget so easily. 22 years of Jammeh has taught us many things. TRRC bi yaguteje. TRRC bi amul dara lum ñu wax lu fi amul ci Gambia bi. Dañ daan wax ne ñi daan rey nit di tocc nit ñu nga joggé kaas. It's our own people from the NIA, from the police. They will torture you, they will kill you, and then go and pray. Joggé fofu ñi dem church, ñi dem juli. Jaay yefi diine. This so we have to be serious. If we're going to stop what happened before, su fekkee ne dañ bañ a delluwaat fañ jógee, because and lan moo waraloon loolu li ko waraloon mooy we had institutions that failed. Yaaya not nit ñi di nabal di ñëpp di masla. Why the level of hypocrisy was so much. Gambia was so interesting. You will today you will torture me to death. Nit ñi ñëpp ñëw kaalawu ñëw suma dëj jóge fa Yaya Jammeh appoint suma cousin ñëpp dem fa gëne kaala ya. But this was the kind of society we had, and the TRRC has taught us. If you look at, and please look at the 17 thematic areas and the recommendations, and even issues of religious intolerance, which is creeping again, where the Islamic Council arrogated themselves certain rights. When hamne kuy khutba ajuma sax dañoo tok déglu la so khutbe, if it doesn't go well with the ñu jàppale yóbbu la so de ñu ne kii was not Muslim enough ñu jàpp fañ war a almer ya ñu tëj ko. Is that a society that we want? No. It is this is a society where we must all live in peace and harmony. Ñu yox ku nekk sa aha ak sa yelef. This is how you create a society. Gis nga suñ toogee di wax ne dëkk bi dafa am jaama dañ ko sama. God doesn't love us better than Sierra Leone or Liberia, but and we almost got there, you know. 2017 was a kind of a savior for us, all of us. 2016-17, we almost got there. If a nation is polarized, what you have, these are the drivers of conflict. I've worked in conflict countries. I have been evacuated twice. You know, in conflict countries, why liñ wara def as a nation? Let us try, and differences nak mom fok mu am. Fo am doomu adama conflict dina am. But let us manage our conflicts. Let us try and be just. Let us be just. Let us be fair in the way we do things.
Finally, because Bamba was late, let me just bring this up so that he can be aware. Initially, Yangi mentioned one of the mandates why your commission was created was to uphold the philosophy of never again. But in your opinion, do you think that never again is a reality, or we are in that never again situation?
I am happy to tell you, not only do we have that the white paper of the government and the recommendations from the TRRC said that the National Human Rights Commission shall monitor the implementation of the recommendation. and report to the National Assembly and to the public. So you are asking the right person. So suma pare ni yow dama need sa WhatsApp, amna sa WhatsApp. We just handed a report to the National Assembly telling them fan lañ tollu ci implementation bi. Now it is our job pour won len yeen ñep lan la government bi implement, lan la government be implemented. Be pare may len ñu rek in 2 months we'll have even a live naka lañ ko monitoring tool nga xamne yow mun nga login pour say okay, as far as prosecution is concerned, fan la government be defangum, as far as April 10 and 11 is concerned, lan la government we are going to develop that. Why the report is out, I have it, I even have it electronically. So have we? Yes, we're doing that. Has the government implementation was very slow, because it was only in May that the government came out with an implementation strategy, unfortunately. And now they have started the process of setting what they call the special prosecutor's office. They have also come up with the reparation bill. So they are doing certain things. It started very slowly, but it is something that we need to monitor, because you know what happened? TRRC, after some time, a new government comes into place, doing their amateur interests. It happened in Tunisia. I was invited to give a talk in Tunisia, because when the government comes, people forget, they get into other things. But the most dangerous thing of the never again, if you do not have security sector reform, we will go back to where we came from. Because we talk about transitional justice. So TRRC, which means the system got spoiled, got rotten. We had a system where the military, where the NIA, where the police, were the tool of the state. I was very happy last week. I know we are concluding. The CDS was the new CDS was being inaugurated, and I was invited. I went. The CDS drama said something. 2 occasions, Mune. They had a very bad reputation, but he can confidently say that in 2 years, the National Human Rights Commission has not said one thing that they have violated the rights of people. They have gone back to barracks and they're doing their job. And it's true. We have been monitoring them, but we can do that. Why should the army actually violate the rights of people? Now, as I speak to you, the NIA, they don't even want to be called the NIA. They want to be called SIS, although the act has not actually given them that name. But today, they don't have the powers of arrest. They're not arresting anything. You see them do part of investigation where there are coup d'etats and other things, but they're not arresting. Buyagaba, they were the most feared people, because we are here. I'm just trying to tell you the impact. Sometimes people don't see the impact, but the mere fact that we are here and we're actually telling them, no, we have been set up. We have to follow the constitution.
From this, then one can, say it's only the police that is still, got stuck, in the past.
Well, okay. The police, whereas before the army didn't even have the right to be doing arrest. So they had now recoiled to their real job. So it's easier maybe for the army. We're just telling them, do your job. Your job is not to be arresting people, civilians. Get out of the fray. But they were just guarding their man, Oga. So then the NIA also assume rules. NIA sulani tonye pay sa contractor failure or liela pay. All you need to do is to go to the NIA. They have also, because of the serious bad name, and of course we are watching. They've all said, okay, listen, powers of arrest. We will only do state security. Okay. Now the police also, not that I'm supporting them, there will always be some human rights issues with the police because of the fact of the kind of job that they do. And it's everywhere, even in the UK, because they have been given powers. Police, they give them powers of arrest, powers to detain, powers to investigate, even prosecution at the level of the magistrate court. So police always the problem because they are also been mandated to do these things. Let us be fair. But what the police must do, they must do what is in accordance with law. They have to be checked. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupt. I'm sure Bamdan Sol uniform. I'm sure he was very powerful when he talks to people. Dole But yes, you just to answer your question. Yes, but the fact
Lawyer Joof, can I come in quickly? You see, we do know that the police are mandated to make sure they cop crime and investigate, arrest. But sometimes you would see certain high-handedness of police in dealing with civilians, like, for instance, dispersing crowd, using tear gas and all that stuff. And you would see junior officers making WhatsApp videos of themselves bragging the way they've handled civilians. And you would see the senior police officers would not take any action when their juniors behave in such degrading manners. What does the Human Rights Commission do in incidents like such?
Thank you. Just quickly, two things. You've raised a very important point. And with the advent of social media now, although our police officers don't have body cam, why people have their mobile phones. Just two things. I remember quickly two cases that we dealt with. One was the Chippa. There was this guy who was a musician. They ran after him, the police, and they beat this man so seriously, and they thought it was a mistaken identity. Even if it is a mistaken identity, if you arrest the person, why should you beat them until they are black and blue? So so the matter came to us. I remember when it came to us straight away. What we do when we receive a complaint, we go through the complaint, we have a complaint form system, and then we write straight to the IGP. This is the complaint we have. These are the allegations against you, XYZ. In this particular case, I'm just giving you some examples that we dealt with. The IGP quickly wrote and said, yes, we acknowledge your receipt. Even this complaint has reached, actually the police even have a human rights complaint. They have a human rights complaint. So they told us, yes, it's even within our human rights complaint, we're investigating the matter. So we said, okay, we will give you time, because they told us they have kickstarted the process. We told them, all right, we will give you time. We will come back to you within this period. Usually we give 30 days. Within that period, we got back to them. We wrote to them and said, yes, this is where we are. They said, okay, what we have done now, we have, now you will probably help me. You were in the police. When they said confined, is it confined to barracks or whatever? I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, confinement to barracks.
Okay, that's where
it's
only
like.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, confinement to barracks. When you are confined to barracks, you may be asked to do some certain works, or they may deduct some amount of money from your wages. So, yeah.
Yes, exactly. But not only that, and then because the guy was beaten, he was really roughed up. And then there was monetary compensation that the IGP said he was also going to give. So the thing came to us, the report, and we called the musician and said, okay, this is the finding from the office of the IGP. This person has been and we tried to find out whether that person was actually confined to barracks. And we told them, now go and get your money. Are you happy? They said, okay, fine. The guy told us they have apologized, they have done this, I'll get my money, I will go. So, but when he went to get his money, all of a sudden, the senior officers were, you cannot see the IGP, blah, blah, blah. After 1 or 2, he came back to us. I actually got my telephone. I called the office. I said, listen, you told us you have solved this. This is the case before us. We stood down the matter, because we also have an advisory role. And since you told us you were going to investigate, and you have done so, and the complainant is satisfied, why are you not giving the monetary compensation? So kind of he said, well, people are. I said, no, Mr. X, you don't. That is not the right attitude, because this is what you told us, and this is the recommendation. This is actually coming from you. We have not even sat yet. We just asked you to come, and you told us you were investigating. Okay, to cut a long story short, let the guy. So the guy went, and guess what? He went, he was paid his money. He even took a picture with the IGP with the B sign. I even called the IGP. I told him, you see, this is the way you even have a good name. You have done something wrong. You have acknowledged. You have acknowledged that your officers were wrong. I was just giving you that as an example. But coming back to the one about the tear gas. And I think the one you're talking about, mainly it was just immediately after the elections. happened when those two PIU officers, maybe it's that one, but there are many other ones. And this is a matter that not only did we visit the leader of the opposition's house to get the full facts of what happened, we also talked to some witnesses, because we also have to be very independent how we do our things. Otherwise, people come sometimes give us stories that are not 100% true. And then we went to the office of the IGP. So just to cut a long story short, they said those officers were being interdicted disciplinary action. And this was actually one of the questions that the National Assembly wanted to know from us. What exactly was happened to those PIU officers? I'm just to tell you that we follow up these matters, and but I just want to agree with you that the police also must be monitored, although they have a human rights institution, but we as an institution have to keep them on their toes. But to their irritation, I must tell you, sometimes they're very much irritated that an institution like ours, you see, especially if you are used to an institution that was not questioned before. It started like that with the late Momar Joof, who passed away. But I must tell you, unfortunately, and before he passed away, the last 6 months, we became, it was an institution that he will even call the NHRC for advice. And I just like that. We had moved from a situation where they were just suspicious of us to a point that he will tell us, listen, we have an issue here. What do you think? And we'll tell them exactly what we thought. Yeah, so, but our work is work in progress. It is not perfect. I will not be telling the truth if I tell you that we have a perfect system. Has there been improvement? Yes. Even the fact that we're reporting and we are putting them to task shows that there is improvement. But what we cannot do, we cannot slip back to the era of Yaya Jammeh. Otherwise, it will be fruitless to have had a TRRC. It will be fruitless to what am I monitoring? Then the never again doesn't have any meaning. But it's our job collectively from all areas to make sure that we hold our leaders accountable and also ourselves accountable. We also have responsibilities that as a people. So you see, and here not just the state, even our religious leaders, our opinion leaders, stop preaching hate. Stop injecting hatred into the pulpit of your people. These are things that we also have. If you have religious leaders arrogating themselves rights, telling others to break the law, it's not just the government. We're talking about us as a society. We need to do some soul searching and reflect back. We didn't have 22 years of dictatorship because of one man, but it was our collective aiding and abetting. And it comes out from time to time when you hear our opinion leaders talk, when you hear our religious leaders talk, when you hear our own people, you scan this Facebook. And I'm shocked when I have youth youngsters spewing out hate, religious bigotry and tribal bigotry. We have to be a serious nation. So we are all in it together.
Okay, thank you for that. I was thinking, have you got the power to call those religious leaders and question them? But before I come to that, day, you have an observation, day?
That was what I was also coming to ask Chairman Joof about. How do they deal with this religious intolerance? Because we see it happening. It is there. It's out there. It's all over the place. And then even to the point, of course, the latest issue is the FGM issue, something that is illegal, and having religious leaders standing up to legalize it with their own rights, hiding behind religion. And also the second part will be the tribal issues, because yes, we have gone out of a dictatorship. Yes, never again. But what we have been seeing recently is it's worrying. It's a very worrying situation that we are seeing. Tribalism being institutionalized, because we are seeing state tribalism, where the state itself is using tribe to politicize the whole country, to divide the whole country. How have you been looking at these issues? The religious extremism that is on the rise in the Gambia is the fact, and then the tribal extremism, especially when state is involved with the tribalism as well.
Yeah. Okay. I am happy at least that we have a bill. I hope it will pass this year, which also criminalizes hate speech. It's because it is important. I know these are always tricky, because freedom of expression and hate speech are a double-edged sword. You want people to express their ideas, their feelings, but also you have to make sure that we draw a line between incitement to hate and those things. So it is tricky, but there is a law that is part of the criminal offences bill there. But do we talk? If you this is in fact when we saw the head of state our 3 months ago, one of the issues that we talked about was the rise in level of intolerance and hate speech, and that the government needs to be serious about it. But you see, the government needs to be serious because again, I will always say that they're the primary duty bearer, and the government. That's why we are also sad, not only sad but disappointed when the government takes a backseat. We know politicians, and this thing happened during even the caste system when the Soninkeres and the Gambanos. We have the Tarawale communities, yes, but they have the two. We are all equals, and the nobles. But then we realized that even among cabinet members, some didn't want to touch it. This was election period, and it affects them. So, but anyway, we can talk about it. You know, we are not buying for election. So we decided to form a task force, a committee. So, and we did the same thing when it comes to. You see, the thing is, you know, let me tell you. Let me be very honest, Nay. We are and team. We are a very interesting society when it suits us. When it suits us. So you have some religious leaders who I'm sorry to say, but I will say it because I've been part of the activism when Jammeh was here, who had no moral authority. When all these things were happening, they kept quiet. TRRC is not made up. We had perpetrators come, victims come. They kept quiet when women were raped. They kept quiet. They will welcome us. These things happen within our own, and today you ride the moral high ground to lecture us and even divide our society based on religion. But let me tell you that when I talk about religion, I'm not even talking about the minority Christian and Muslim. On my desk, where I sit, we had the Ahmadiyya petitioning us because of the level of hatred against them. I'm telling you this. If a religious leader can have the audacity to say that the Ahmadiyyas in some countries are even killed, what are you talking about? So in those instances, and we saw the Ministry of Interior, minister rather, and we expected them to say something. You cannot allow anybody all of a sudden having a moral authority, ascribing powers to themselves. Listen, religion, again, when I say this, people don't like it. The Constitution, our Constitution is very clear. There are two fundamental things that it says. It says that nobody can form a religious platform based on tribe or religion. It's there. I have the provision. It also says that the government of the day cannot declare a state religion, although Jammeh did it before. But if the state is quiet and you allow people to come and make statements which are divisive, then you are creating problems. And that is why if you go through our social media, you will be surprised the things that are being said. But not only, again, it's not just Ahmadi. I remember sending one of our officers to attend a particular meeting. It was called they call it a conference. But when we attended that conference, it was out there to denigrate Shiites. Very hateful things were said. And I'm wondering, you have a country that talks about freedom of religion. Freedom to practice your religion. So long as that religion, is not advocating human sacrifice or is repugnant. But people have a right to their religion or version of their religion, and they have a right not to have any religion. The Constitution, and when you say that they say one should not say it, I'm sorry. But we live in a secular state. This is what we live in. So and because the state is usually quiet, and if the state is quiet, it will be hijacked when vacuums will be filled. So if you have people who are coming up saying things that brings division within our society, and I will come straight to you, Nay. So any member of any party, the state, if you have any member there who's using tribe, it's dangerous. It is dangerous, and you should come out and condemn it. I gave an example of during the Obama and McCain campaign, when that lady got up, took the mic and said very bad things about Obama being Muslim and black. McCain took the mic and said, lady, this is not what our party subscribe to. Okay, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. Donald is another one. But I'm just saying, I just love that. This is how leaders should behave. You are the ones, because of course we all have our prejudices. We come from communities, and when we are comfortable in our comfort zones, we say bad things about Mandinkas, we say bad things about Suruas, we say bad things about Christians. But it is the job of the nation to hold the unity together, and it is opinion leaders and religious leaders should be very mindful. You do not divide divide the society, and this is, and the National Human Rights Commission talks. You should see our press releases, and I'm sure they call me. Not I'm sure, I know, because as I tell you, 3/4 of my family is Muslim. You go to the mosque and they tell me they're talking about kafir. They don't know I'm your uncle. Same, and that uncle is the same. My mom, same with my mother, with my father. They share the same mother, father. But that was why I was laughing. I said, especially us who live in the greater Banjul area, we are so mixed that you'll be very confused. They see you in some funerals and they're wondering. I said, no, that's my first cousin. They said, what? I said, yes. No, I'm just saying these things because but we have to, and this is one thing, 2023, 2024, the National Human Rights Commission, we need to convene a conference on peace, reconciliation. It's important that we do these things, because we 2.5 million population and a polarized society. Come on, let us desist from these things. Yes,
Okay.
Finally, I think like you rightly touched on Islamic fundamentalism on the rise in the Gambia.
And all fundamentalism, even if it is religious.
Yes, but
whether it's coming from born again, Catholic, all kinds.
The greatest threat to Gambia's peace and stability, I would say, I am a Muslim, I would say is Islamic fundamentalism, because the kind of way they come after other religions, especially the Ahmadis and all these other denominations, is very threatening. To say other countries, Ahmadiyas are killed, blah, 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 in their sermons, I think the Human Rights Commission needs to pressurize the government to take action. Because Gambia has always been a peaceful country. Like you rightly said, Banjul is very polarized. Banjul is like a mixed religious society. You have people living in one big house where you have Christians, Muslims, and all sorts of. And you've never seen
let me give you my example. My father, very dear to me, died as a Muslim. Half of my siblings are Muslim. Let me come home. Let me just come home. And when they come here, I will tell you the direction of Mecca. When they come here to pray, I tell them what direction to pray. But this is the kind of society, this is my kind of family. So sometimes it's really pain. I come from a family where so this is when they come from Mecca, so that is why personally, man, I do not understand this new breed. I don't understand it, and I cannot understand it because this is the kind of society that I'm coming from. We are very mixed. So and I think there is leverage. Peace of Jammeh of Abah. They didn't go Sama. But sorry, I just want to give you myself an example.
Finally, talking about all these things, mention two things you have. They're very catching, and for me, it seems to be the bedrock of our problems. Ngane Gambian be the laid back. Ngane tamid then they show, then they were after you take things. So is that the main cause of our problems, or is it because of our attitude, mindset, or swing system being in place that is not working to take us forward?
Good question. You know why I love this question? I have worked about in and out of Gambia for 13 years, different institutions. I've worked for 2 UN agencies, 1 intergovernmental, 2 regional. So, and you know what's funny? you work in this institution, even when you're an average. I don't think I am great. I'm very clever. We work so hard. Mange party look better times my team leader. Muma like are Gambians like this? Can we have more Gambians in my team? You know, it was very funny when we are out there. ADB, UN, you name us. We guys, don't we work? We do. Jalan flight being ex Banjul International Airport. Be bacteria be virus be japala. You will be very shocked. So look at our look at our technical people. So we've done very well. So man, okay, then I thought about it. You know what the problem? I think I don't have all the answers. I wish I had. I believe that we don't have systems and processes that work. I believe that we don't have accountability in this country.
Yes.
When people don't need like, when you do not have, when anything goes, then you don't care. Because in those institutions that we work under, we had to follow certain processes. And if we don't do, we are out. We are out. Anyway, I'm just trying to rationalize because I am one of those who has worked outside there. So Gambians are good. Gambians are very friendly. They are hardworking. But how is it that we cannot translate it when you come to our beautiful country of 11,000 square kilometers of 2.5 million? All of these things, you are in England, we are everywhere. We work hard. And some of us have 3 jobs. Some you send us home. Either doing ligay or so that, but I think that is part of the problem. Mandama feel we don't accountability more amut. Mandama feel lolu. And you feel it, you go to government government. I came and I'm running an institution and I saw exactly some things like that, where I even go to make sure we are having a meeting. I make sure that we have enough toilet rolls, that the toilets are clean. Nyuma whole but newa kimom chairman lumo put for toilet bit. But because I feel I don't want this NHRC to be like any government institution where you go, you hold your nose because even the toilets are smelling. I know that is anecdotal, but you asked me that question, and it's a question that is dear to me. I think that in Gambia we don't hold ourselves accountable. We need to pay our people better. Then we hold them accountable. You go to the government offices, even Legi Banksy. Okay, fine. Mine 1 o'clock, 2:15, people are going to go for break and prayer. Why Gambians, we are pretentious. We come and we pray. Can do definitely game. Danga am driver sa. Do definitely game. Be wara def. Mula jai ne for pray. The pray. So, but I'm just saying that you are asking me. This is my observation. Momla wakena bena time. Mane ko doma jaha seyala. Pray, but do your job. Come to work on time. You don't waste time for prayer. But I don't care because But they will say these things. But it's a question that is dear to me. You put the Gambian in America, in England, anywhere. Oh my God, we are good. Bring us to Gambia. Whether it's
Thank you really for that, Chairman. We had those conversations in Norway. We were invited by the Norwegian government in Parliament to discuss about the Africa strategy. And what we put across was institutional building, because we said the difference between Norway and Gambia is because institutions work. Not that they are more intelligent than us. They know what they can do. I've also worked internationally, and anywhere you go, they will tell Gambians are fantastic, intelligent, hardworking. But what happened when they come to Gambia? And I agree with you, the institution. And I'm happy that you confirmed that, because we had that heated debate in Norway. We said, Norway Africa strategy, forget it. They should just help Africa with institutional building and then look at the diaspora structure. And these are the discussions we have. Because we said institutions don't function. There's no accountability.
Accountability is missing. People should also be motivated. Why hamga? So accountability and people are not motivated. So if I go to work and my buy suma code be them tough. Kenen ki ligay mu tot job be you find you the same thing. Haga Koko will not be motivated. So these are things that there should be performance appraisal. I saw it because Yala in a position and we had to build a secretariat from zero. And you see that You see that, and people ask me, why? How come you're functioning? You're doing well. You're sending your reports on time. But also within our group, there was a particular thing. You are paid. Do you know you are paid more than X, Y, and Z? Manako, you are the kind of people who cause revolution. What do you mean, chair? Manako, I mangla by hell. Yo ki limo lige twice. Yo la pay li. Ki limo pil la pil. So as if you are paid. But if you don't do your work, then your chance. Either you leave, you can go find another job, but you cannot be here and not meet your deliverables. Why not? It is a problem in Gambia. Bilgai, Jamal, whether it's the banks, whether it's the work, nobody works, they pray. They pray. And I like Kufa was saying the same thing in Ghana. Kufa was saying, huh? Sorry?
When we go there, doing that's why anybody affair dangen fo ne dangen ñew fi control ñu li nekk yiro mo fi wara nekk.
Okay,
yes.
I'm not sure.
The Mawali is not because giving a Christian, seeing people praying 5 times a day. I very much liked it when Kufo of Ghana, Nana Kuf said the same thing. I don't know where he went. Mune they spend how much time in traffic. You instead of just start ligate muno no your praise in care. Bena 35-40 minutes be a fellowship la. You know, he was facing the same thing. You know, work, yala based at all. You know, but I think this is part of our problem.
I'm not sure. Thank you. Bamba, your final thoughts before we go. Oh, Bamba is gone. So also final thoughts with your last.
Mange Gerem Honorable Joof because Santa Buba, he's been very candid and he's been very straight. Bepare Sedna presidents, I think most of the directors or head of departments sunko emulate dekabidina dem nimwara deme because wax na ci mujjentel waxam nit ki suy liggéey sa onda da nga wara nek sone appraisals ñu ngi in place ñu ngi deliver and deliverables, you know, ñoo xamne they not delivering nga put len on performance management. Bepare head of departments yi dañ wara farm ñu fair treat seen staff yi equally am nga bul am favoritism ak yooyu ba pare nit nga pour motivate sa staff yi because nit ki man dama fii sooy apply for a job role dañ la di apply, why do you apply for this job, why do you think we should employ you? Nit nga pour proof ne yow sa personal goals or sa career, you know, ideals then mirror with the job description because suko mirror would you don't am fulfillment at the job. You just go in for su fekkene da nga am money halis bi rek mo la yobu pour nga liggéey, not for the love of delivering sa deliverables, then you would find the work overwhelming. Don't find the job interesting. You know, you wouldn't get any motivation for liggéey. So yow li la yobu rek moy am halis ak ñipsi. So bepare I think the executive war nañ am the backbone, you know, pour lead the country, you know, being proactive. Nit ki suñ la jiitalee da nga war a nuroo njiit soo gisee sa biir kër ñi ngi wax ay wax di ngunu si suuf nga nekk kilifa bu mut war nga ne li ma dégga de ñuy koy ngunu bugguma ko déggaat parce que su ma ko déggaatee lii ak lii lay def waaye su fekkee ne yaa ngi dégga ñu ngi wax ay hate speech or religious leaders yaa ngi wax loo xam ne dafa lakka dëkk bi te dëkk bi yàlla tere ko su taalee ñun ñëppay lor even ñun ñu nekk outside suñ njaboot yaa ngi fa suñ maam yaa ngi fa suñ yaay yaa ngi fa suñ doom yaa ngi fa suñ jarbaat yaa ngi fa so njiit bi dafa war a nekk njiit te dafa war a nekk njiit boo xam ne du ragal a wax dëgga dafa war a nekk njiit boo xam ne dafay taxaw wax loo xam ne waxi kilifa la wax yu mut la waaye doo nekk njiit nga nekk muumu doo nekk njiit nga nekk gumbo doo nekk njiit nga nekk I'm not saying it these things pour hen degrade those with disability so this is just comme waxin la daal so danga war a ubbi sa bot yi danga war a wax yàlla daf la jox bot gémmeñ ak noppa nga dégga nga gis nga mun a wax so as a njiit loolu lañ la fa tege so understand naa ne you know time politics ku nekk bëgg na nit ñi sànni la karta waaye léegi dañu war a door because gis nañ li xew démba gis nañ yeneen dëkk yoo xam ne am nekk nañ ci ay jafe-jafe taal nañ tàkka nañ ñàkk nañ ay bakken ay alal ak lu bari lu ko waral yëpp mooy hate speech so ñun dañ tuuti so we know even 3 million so waruñoo accept loolu suñuy politics bi dafa war a decent politics bi dafa war a inclusive ñëpp wax nañ ko fi ku nekka ida yow pol nga man pol la suñu may déggee suma santa o ne foog ne man olof la am naa doom yoo xam ne dégguñ pol soose la ñuy wax so danga gis ne it's mixed so Gambia bi dafa mixed ñun ñëpp benn lañ so religious hatred bi Jammeh at least lu mundi mel daf dee wax ne fii dëkk bi religion bi su weeri koor génne ñëpp dañu war a or bés bi julli ak all those things képp koo xam ne yaa ngi indi ay ndigal yoo xam ne amut fulla amut fayda nga yóbbu ko feneen waaye doo ko defee Gambia understanding he was an extremist waaye njiit danga war a ñeme you should be bold you should be honest and you should be ready to tackle things jërë ngeen jëf.
Thank you. Bamba, your final thoughts on any question for Honorable. I give him that title today, Honorable Emmanuel Joof. Bamba, where are you? Bamba Fone, yes, Bamba, your final thoughts.
Sorry, Mustapha, it's raining here, and I have to run on the side.
This is Birmingham. Saul is in Birmingham, you know.
I have to thank
Bamba is a hustler. I am at home, but he's out hustling.
Thanks.
I have to thank Chairman Joof. He has been very frank with us, and we wish him all the best. Let him be rest assured that he has the public support, which is the most important. Because, Gambia, try to serve the public purpose that you are assigned for. Okay, but I just wanted to find out, like you mentioned a lot about disabilities, the issue of disabled people in terms of accessibility and employability and all this stuff, because they are very marginalized. We all know that. I just want to ask, since you assume office, have you noticed any improvement in their plight in terms of government incorporating them, helping them? Because I have realized that even in Parliament right now, I do not see the disabled being represented. In the previous one, we had, I think, Honorable Njai, who was nominated to represent the disabled. But after when the NPP government...
Yeah,
Seka, exactly, yes, Seka, yeah, Seka. So I do not know why this time around the disabled are not represented in Parliament. What is your office doing to kind of encourage the government to include the disabled, because they are part of society, and some of them are very talented, some of them have so much to give than even us that are able. Thank you. And I must say, I'm very much impressed with you for the first time having this conversation with you. You're very frank, you're very open, and you invite questions. Of course, we would come after you if we feel that you have been compromised. Don't even think about that, because we have high regards for you. So if you fall off the land, we will put you online. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You told me that this was going to be a 1 hour. Now my clock here is telling me that we've been on for 2 hours 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me answer this.
Yeah.
So this was the thing. This was the thing. I was thinking 45 half an hour. But anyway, now it's over 2 hours. But I will try and answer your question. What you see, the thing is issues with disability, because you cannot talk about human rights without fighting for the rights of those who are vulnerable and minorities. That is part of our mandate and it's key. So what we realized when we came into office was that the Gambia ratified the treaty on convention on people's rights of people with disabilities. So since then we discovered that there was a bill why Gambia amut on domestic legislation. Gambia didn't have a domestic legislation. So we pushed. So in 2021, we were so happy that that bill it is a good bill. My brother, if you look at that bill, once we start implementing it, so the government passed the bill. And when they passed the bill, the government, the bill became an act, a law, and the president gave it an assent. It didn't have why Amuton commencement day. Why, to be honest, the government started something. The bill act bidafane, they should start by having an advisory council. So they instituted an advisory council. The advisory council, has talk for different health, education, Federation of the Disabled. But the problem was, we discovered that there was no headway. Nothing has been, the act itself was implemented. So, by the way, look, so still involved Ministry of Gender. So when we involved the Ministry of Gender, we need to have a 2-day convergence where we'll bring all the Confederation of the Disabled and all the other stakeholders, because we need to have a conference on this area. So that is why we sorry, somebody is disturbing and knocking. I don't know who they are. So this is why we started this. So the ngagisne implementation bisudore mom la law explain why the mabuga agree ak yow. No, very little has been done to alleviate the plight of the disabled. But when we kickstart this act, when the act becomes to be implemented, in the areas of education, even public transport, the government must make sure disabled people must have access. Rams when it comes to Braille, social protection, and many things. So Lolota, as the chief government legal advisor on all matters relating to human rights, we must make sure that this implementation of this act must start. So but I just want to agree with you. We discovered nothing has been done. And you are right, apart from setting up the advisory council, nothing much has been done.
Thank you. And then your final thoughts, Day.
No, for now, my chairman release quite a little bit, but
wow.
I'm very, very happy, definitely, and thank you so much, chairman, for coming in here, because legally, the they want to arresting a Human Rights Commission, Human Rights Commission, Nata Jele, sets in a new, and that is hope. That is hope for the nation. That is hope for the people, because situation being neka legi is a very delicate situation, because you get this eye signs your hamne. So nini tamit pour ñu mëna am fu ñoo wëru né yé nang fa, and to hear some nini suñu leen arrêté ordinary people saying ne ñëwoon nañ seet si ñu human rights that is really fulfilling. And really I really want to thank you so much for the great job you are doing. Even Taibi, some of them just flyers, he's very good, he's passionate about these issues, he means business. So that is positive to hear, because we need that. And I hope President be def darasa or things happen, nane wara muna or light len bala mo them doing these things. I hope the Minister of Justice muna lena orientam bala mo def dara pour get abda. I hope also Minister of Interior dina len call bala ñoo def dara pour light len. And I also hope the IGP of Police dina utilize this resource, this expertise, being the advisory and all these things, to utilize it pour deka bi muna dem, because that's the only way deka bi do muna dem. Buñ fi ne they are minister lañ fa lañ tok, they are too big na ñoo mom deka bi or momuñ deka bi yi ñoo do ci téga légui. Why to come to you, because definitely li dina dimbale deka bi so much. And thank you so much for the work. Of course xam na ne di ngeen stretch out of even the limits, because the mandate, as you rightly said, is wide, but deka bi mu ngi jaxaso. I thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and really honored to sit down here and listen to you and hear you speak and everything, and all the positive words that people are having. Thank you so much, and we are behind you. We are behind you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you can say us in
1 hour 20 minutes extra. 2 hours 20 minutes.
Yes, that is why I gave you that title, Honorable Emmanuel Joof, effective today.
Young man bribe. Young man bribe the thing and how much to bribery.
Mustapha, be careful. Mustapha, be careful.
Forward for this program today. People were really looking forward to it.
Honorable, well,
I think
Well, I hope I didn't disappoint you.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
No, you
disappoint. You
didn't.
did
No,
very
you
well.
didn't. To be honest, you didn't.
I didn't
So-
realize that I didn't talk too much today. Just
Legi lima lay ñaan rek nga share seen website bi with the forum ak wax nga ne in 2 months time da ngeen am an electronic system boo xam ne dinañ mun a check seen works yi ak reports yi so nga xam ne ñu nit mun nañ koo share with suñ readers yi ak suñ listeners yi so that ñoom it mun nañ koo share so that the more like you said suñ la mandate yaa ngi render service but if people don't know about your existence sa service we have to spread much so we would try to sell you out to people commission bi so that nit ñi mun ko access bu baax jërëjëf thank you so much
I just went into it. I'll say it in the group.
thank you
Okay, you
Thank
can
you.
leave it in the comment box. Why,
Get
them, your final thoughts. Ak man suma lache bundaw bi moy my final thoughts or final question would be any constraints, Honorable, any constraints, and what do you think would be the resolution to some of these problems? And then we conclude there. Before you come in, I'll say this in Mandinka. Momo bedawra ibe watu momo ye problem also to kula mimbi dending human right tinyangolela ime minkela katake dulala be kiring Gambia gafodame ko national human rights ni tara je ye problem so to kula mi alon ka bedendi yela nyantola tinyang ni ne nyomo ibe ma ko elale inshallah. But legal aid, that bit you need to start pushing that, Honorable, before we go. Your final thoughts and what are some of your constraints and what do you think would be the resolutions to all these constraints?
Now you're not closing it. This you're opening it again. But any institution that starts will have constraints. Especially our institution. To start with, people must know what we are doing. The awareness raising aspect of it. People must also develop confidence. We must be properly resourced. But there will always be budgetary constraints. If I tell you what our mandate is, the amount of money I need to do all these things will be. That's why when we were talking, I say we need to prioritize. We cannot just make it like just a complaint mechanism because there are a lot of things that we do as an institution. So there's some budgetary constraints. We need to. The challenge also is the fact that people must even understand what human rights is all about. Because the human rights was given a very bad narrative by the former president of the Republic, Jammeh, who in his quest to belittle it, narrowed it down to Eurocentric and gay rights. But of course, we all know, just watching at the TRRC, we know right to education we all need, right to affordable health system, access to justice, right to life, freedom from being arbitrarily arrested and detained. You don't need any European to tell you that as a human being, you need these things. And when we fight, these are the rights that we're fighting about, the rights in our constitution. So our challenge here is to raise the awareness, so that everybody understands that human rights is everybody's business. And of course, you have the detractors. There are some people who are using religion. They want to close the institution. It's, because either they deliberately feel that the National Human Rights Commission will. So we have the detractors. But the thing is, it's fine. Because even those, we have people who were our ardent critic. Bañ leen jàppee yóbbu duma tudda tur because wax nañ ne naa baalal kooku bañ leen jàppee tu ñoo ko rescue waaye kooku amul dara lum ñu waxut from a gay institution we are useless to the extent ne he was even having a very good conversation with our legal officers di leen explain many other things. On 2 occasions we made sure that he was treated well, he was given access to his lawyer, he was released on time. So they might just explain some of the problems, but also it means that it's our problem in the sense that we have to really create more awareness, to the level down there in all the languages so that people understand human rights ak yelefi doomi aadama dafa baax si dëkk dafa baax dañ ko war a saxal because mooy indi jàmm. You know, this is everybody's business. You know, when we even talk about corruption is a human rights issue because if it is unchecked, xam nga li moo def in terms of li ñu war a am ci health services, education ak yooyu. So, but it is our job. I am telling you, we're planning a big conference, hopefully in the next 2 months, on corruption and human rights. That will be interesting. You see what we do, and we will invite, corruption and human rights. You know, so why challenges mom fok mo am, because maybe our messaging, maybe the way we frame it, we need to improve. We need to do that. Budgetary constraint. But as I tell you, one of the fundamental things also is the fact that if you are seen as an institution, because we are an audit institution, audit in the sense that I'm not talking about the figures, but we audit rule of law, we audit democracy. That's why our reports, which I will send to you immediately after we finish, you will not be like, you know, you will not be 100% like, because you know, I remember the other time somebody said he knows every time not a presidential candidate or whatever, because we were talking about the right to health. You know, but human rights is on civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. So this is our job. Our mandate is big. So this is the challenge. You see, I cannot even have my Saturday. I'm here for 2.5 hours. I'm talking to you people.
Okay, good.
That's a challenge.
Okay, all right, that's fine. It's all right. Thank you. On that note, Honorable Emmanuel Joof, I would like to say
it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for your time, energy, and effort you spent with us here. Don't forget to share that recommendation, TRRC, and all this here. You got the number. Share it with us.
I will send it all.
Please do. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Have a good evening.
Thank you, and have a nice Saturday. The rest of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for this edition of the weekly program Jammeh from Sky Power Radio and TV Services. My name is Mustapha Jammeh at the seat. Badingol butung lokum program ming gasoto jang kabonan Sky Power Radio and TV Services Jammeh. Waton sinyina lambe danna janne follow kunala inshallah program on yinkana video kabo 5 o'clock UK time kata for 7 o'clock. Ngamin sudah jang wolong human rights national human rights la alfatime ka fa Emmanuel Joof atele benum pour que katia mole kula membe dende molla hadama dingol la nyanto Gambia banko kan inko mbonyama watu nsinyina lambe danna janne follow kunala inshallah kabanan Skype or radio and TV services on Albari Malo Mustapha Jammeh follow kunala inshallah alimbara. Thanks for being there. Have a good evening from transmission staff in studios West Yorkshire. From all the transmission staff, we'd like to say thank you for being there and then have a lovely evening. Cheers.